Welcome. In this video, I will teach you how to sculpt the skull. And skull is really important to understand because if you want to sculpt a good looking human face, then you need to know of the underlying structure, which is the skull. So every face has a skull inside, obviously. And when you understand the skull, you actually understand a lot about the human face, like for example, the forehead area, the cheek area. I personally really struggled with the jaws when I was making the human faces, when I was sculpting faces. And studying the skull, sculpting the skull, it actually really helped me improve the lower area of my face sculpts. So when I understood how the bone is, it was much easier for me to make the jaw and the chin and everything. Now, there are a lot of fat and muscles and everything, but that aside, when you understand the skull, you understand a lot about the face. So in this video, I will try to teach you about the skulls, and by the end of this video, you will have a good understanding. You will be able to sculpt a good skull if you practice the way that I tell you. So what I want you to do is to just watch this video and just observe what I'm doing. I will be explaining everything, so just make notes, just take notes, write it down on a piece of paper because you should be making notes. And once you've watched the entire video with focus and with attention, then I want you to watch the video again and try it with me. Now this time it will be a lot easier for you to sculpt. And if you made notes, then you already would be aware of what I'm going to do. So it is really going to help you. So just watch it through with me once. And then the second time, I want you to try it with me. And I promise you will see results. So I used the skull that I have on the screen and I took some screenshots, which I am going to use as a reference. So yeah, never sculpt without a reference. And if you've bought my course, then you already have both of these models. If you have not bought the course, you can get these assets separately on my ArtStation store. The link is in the description. Or you can just try to find an anatomical skull, a good reference for a skull, and then use that. But yeah, do not sculpt without a reference. Okay, so let's begin by deleting everything, and then we will make this from scratch. Let me also turn on the screencast, which I always forget to do. And just to make sure that your focal length is set to 100, because that is a really good focal length to sculpt with. It has minimal distortion, and yeah, your life will be much easier. So we're going to start off with the UV sphere. Did I turn off shadows? I don't think so. Yeah, let's turn off shadows. And what we're going to do right now is just similar to a face. I made a complete video on how to make a face. So yeah, it's a lot of things are similar to sculpting a face. So what you want to do is just use a move brush. Let me move it out. So we're going to use a grab brush or the move brush, and we're going to make it really big. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull this down from the center like this and try to get some sort of a helmet shape. Now this shape is the same if you're sculpting a face or a skull. And what you want to do is push in from the sides and pull out from the front. Okay. What this does is it gives you some sort of a flat area over here. Okay. And it also gives it some sort of a taper. So yeah, you need to have this shape. And then let's move this in a bit more. What you want to do now is go to the side view and let me show you what I'm doing. Okay, let me just keep the reference over here so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so from the side view, what you want to do is get this jaw shape. Okay, now the skull has a lot of features, but the main trick is to break it down into simple and achievable steps. You don't want to get into the detail early on in your sculpting. So yeah, just keep everything basic for now. Keep everything low poly. Just focus on the main shapes and the main proportions. We can always add geometry, but yeah, it's really difficult to work with a high poly model. So I'm just trying to get this shape. I'm not considering all of these details over here. I'm just making it as simple as I possibly can. Okay, so we're just moving things around and trying to get a general shape. Okay, this jaw is almost halfway the entire height of the face. And also what you want to notice is that the skull, especially the male skull, it is very blocky. Okay, it's not completely round. So yeah, we need to take that into account, and we want to keep things a bit blocky, a bit linear. This part is really smooth. So yeah, no worries over here. And yeah, this looks really weird. And why does it look weird? It looks weird because it's very squarish right now. What you want to do is you want to pull this down. And if you notice, there's some sort of an angle over here. So you want to keep the top a bit sharp. This is going to be the widest area of the skull. And importantly, if you look at from the front view, top view, it should be some sort of an egg shape. And a common mistake is that beginner artists, they just pull it out like this. And I used to do this as well. So if you pull it out like this and try to make an egg shape, okay, I have an egg shape now. But when you look at from the front, it's going to be squarish. What you need to keep in mind is that the widest area is right over here. It's on the side of the skull. Okay, it's almost above the ear, but yeah, it's around over here. And then everything else, it falls behind, it falls back. Okay, so this is the widest area around here, and everything else is going to fall behind this. If you're pulling it from the top view, just make sure that you wait for the brush to tilt. And once it tilts, then you want to pull. Don't pull it from the top, pull it from the side, because that is the widest area. Now let's try to get some sort of an egg shape. The skull and the face, they do get wider as they go behind, as you can see over here. Okay, it gets wider as it goes behind. Okay, and this is a good place to start. So let's just remesh now, because we need more geometry to sculpt. Let's remesh. Now make sure you have a curvature over here. This part shouldn't be flat. Okay, just make sure that this isn't flat like this. Okay, it should have a curvature. It should be smooth. And we can define the jaw a bit more. Just like this. Okay, now let's make the eye sockets. Now, where are the eye sockets located? It's located in the middle of the skull. Okay, so what you want to do is just add a bit more geometry so you can work with it, and then use a draw brush, clay strips brush, draw sharp brush, whatever brush you want to use. I'm using the draw brush. The point is that you want to make two sockets right in the center of the face for the skull. Okay, now these are the eye sockets. This orbital area, this part right here. Okay, and the way it is shaped is like aviator glasses. If you've ever seen aviator sunglasses, that is how it's shaped. Now, I don't know if nature took inspiration from aviator, or did aviator take inspiration from skull? I think it's a mystery I'll never know the answer to. Okay, and once you have these two sockets, you want to go to the side view. Now we're going to make this dip over here. Okay, so it's really simple. Just use a move grab brush and then pull it behind. It's really simple. Okay, and you can see that we're keeping everything very basic. What we're going to add now is this temple line. And what I want you to note about this is that it's almost shaped like a ball, and this goes quite deep, very deep inside. Okay, you can see it over here. It's going inside. And you can also see it over here that this part, it is actually going inside. Okay, you have to keep that in mind. So we're going to use the draw sharp brush, because draw sharp brush is very good for making sharp details, and it's very good for aggressive digging as well. So you can dig very aggressively. So we're going to make this line now, and let's add the temple line. Okay, the temple line goes up and away. Okay, and then it comes down like this, then it comes down like this, and then it goes back. You can see it over here. Okay, so it comes down, it has some sort of a sharp angle over here, and then it goes back straight. Okay, and now we want to dig this part in. I just showed you that this is very deep. And the way you're going to do it is using the clay strips brush. So just use the clay strips brush and hold control so that you're digging this in, so that you're pushing this in. The clay strips brush is really good for pushing the clay inside. So yeah, just push this in, push this in, push, 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 push. And yeah, you want to taper it off as you reach the back. Okay, this is the widest area of the skull, like I told you. So yeah, you just want to taper it down to that point. Okay, and once you have this shape, you can see how it's looking. You're just going to smooth it. Smooth, 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 smooth. Yeah, this is looking nice. We can add a bit more volume over here. Okay, and let's check the front view. So it's looking good. This is going to come inside a lot. This is the widest area, and everything is going to fall behind this. Okay, so this looks good. You can also use the draw sharp brush to emphasize this area a bit more. Then remesh. Now we don't have enough geometry to make more details. There is actually a hole over here. Okay, and we're not taking into account this part too is very deep. Do I have a reference for it? No, I don't. Okay, you can see over here, this goes very deep inside. We're going to carve this, but yeah, we're going to carve it when we have more detail. I don't want to make the rest of the sculpting difficult for me. So let's adjust the eyes a bit, just a bit. I'm just giving it a bit more aviator shape. And now let's make the nose. So where is the nose? The position for the nose is, if you make an imaginary line on the eyebrow area and an imaginary line on the bottom of the chin, right here, then if you make an imaginary line in the middle of both of these, this is how long the nose is. Okay, this is the bottom of the nose. And where does the nose start? It almost starts in the middle of the orbits. Yeah, this is where the nose starts. I'm just roughly marking this area. You can see over here. Okay, and it's almost like a reverse heart shape. So we don't have enough geometry. Let's add more geometry. Let's see where was the position again. So an imaginary line, this is the bottom, this is the top. Let's just dig this in. Okay, no need to worry about the line in between. We can always add this. We're just keeping everything really basic right now. And how wide is the nose? It's almost at the edges of the orbits, a bit further ahead. Yeah, it's okay. And you want to make it some sort of a reverse heart shape. The important thing about the nose is that the nose protrudes towards the top and towards the end. So we need to take that into account. Let's pull this area out. It was very deep. Okay, so we're off to a good start over here. We have something nice. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to carve in this area. And the reason we're going to do it is because we have a cavity over here. A common mistake that a lot of people do is that they make the cheekbones like this. Okay, the cheekbones are not really this further ahead in the face. The cheekbones, they are literally around here. As you can see over here, they're almost behind the eye. Okay, so don't make this mistake. Let's undo and let me show you the proper way to do this. So the proper way to do this is just take a clay strips brush and then you want to carve in this cavity over here. This cavity. Okay, so just hold control and then dig it in. Dig it in. Yeah, so just carve this in using the clay strips brush. And you can see we've made an area, but the cheekbone is still very ahead. It's way too ahead. So you want to push this in too. So just use the clay strips brush, hold control, and then push this in as well. Okay? You almost want to make it close to this orbit area. Like I showed you, where's the reference? Where's the reference? Over here. Yeah, so normally I just have the reference on the other monitor, full screen. Yeah, but since I'm demonstrating it to you, I have to struggle with this. So bear with me. Okay, so let's push this in and then we can smooth a bit. Okay, just push, 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 push. And yeah, this is almost like a plane over here. Yeah, just push it in and then smooth a bit. Also, I'd like to adjust the nose a bit. It's way too below. It's almost in the center of this area. Okay, nice. Now what we want to do next is we're going to make the cheekbone. So for the cheekbone, you just have to draw this. Okay, so just use a draw sharp brush and then draw this area. Just draw it like this. It's really simple. And also just try your best that this angle and the cheek angle, they're almost in line. It doesn't need to be exact, but yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. It's a good estimation to have. It's almost the same angle as here. So it's going to be a continuous line. Okay. And now we can push this area in a bit. If you notice on the front view of the skull, the jawbone, it actually starts quite inside the cheekbone. Okay, it's inside the face. It's not as wide as the skull, which is also a very common mistake. So if you look over here, this is the width of the skull, and this is where the jawbone is. So there's a lot of difference over here. Like I told you, this is actually a hole over here. You can literally see it if you have a real life skull, which I don't know where you got it from. But yeah, this is a hole over here. And we're not gonna sculpt it, but yeah, it's something to keep in mind. The jaw starts much inside. So you can either use the grab brush and move this in, but I just like using the clay strips brush. It's much easier. So I just use the clay strips brush to push this in as well. Okay. Just push this in, push this in, push this in. And how much do you want to push? What is the marker over here? It's almost around this area. Okay. This line. That is where the jaw is. It's pretty deep inside the face. This orbit line. Okay, so we're starting to have something that resembles a skull. But yeah, we're not done yet. Now you want to use the draw sharp brush, and now we're going to make this cavity over here. Okay, this area for the mouth, which goes in quite deep, as you can see. The teeth are very deep, you can see over here. And even if you touch yourself, okay, you can feel your teeth up to this point, which is very deep inside the face. So yeah, I do recommend touch yourself, but not in a bad way. Okay, so what you want to do, take the draw sharp brush and then make a straight line like this all the way to the chin. And then you want to push this in. Push, 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 push. And if you see some stretching over here and you're not able to sculpt, it's okay. Just press Ctrl R and then you can remesh. And then just push this in again. Push, 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 push. Now this is actually a hole over here. So you want to make it go over here and behind. So you want to sculpt it to the inside. This is going to be very deep because this is actually a hole in the face, which we are not sculpting. So yeah, to represent that hole, we're just digging it in very deep. And also over here, you want to dig this really in. Okay, this is very deep. Remesh. Then dig again because we were seeing some stretching. And this is looking nice. Okay, so let's see what the shape of the jaw is. The jaw is never this wide. What you want to do is you want to pull this in, push this in. Okay, if you look at the jaw from the bottom, it's going to be very squarish at the front, and then it's going to be very linear. Okay, so especially the male skulls, they're going to be very linear. Now they're going to look something like this. Okay, very sharp, very linear, whereas a female skull would look something like this. It's going to be much narrower and really rounded. Okay, I cover all of this in detail inside the course, but yeah, for this video, I just want to show you how you can sculpt a good looking skull so that you have a better understanding and you can use these things when you're making the human face. Okay, and also an important feature of the male skull is that this edge over here, okay, this sharp angle right here, it flares out. Okay, it's not linear, it's going to flare out a bit. Okay, so do keep that in mind. This doesn't happen in the female skull, it only happens in the male skull. It flares out. Okay, and this is looking nice. This shouldn't be as wide as the widest part of the skull, so let's just push this in a bit. It's going to flare, but not this much. And let's adjust this area now. So this area is very rounded. We don't want it like this, so we're going to push it in with the clay strips brush, make it relatively flat. But also do keep in mind that this area, it's like a ball, and it does gets wider as it goes behind. Okay, even if you touch yourself, you can see that you can feel your teeth over here around your lips. Look at me. You can feel your teeth over here, but as you go behind, it gets wider. Okay, so it's really round. It gets wider as you go back. So keeping that in mind, this part is going to come in a lot. You can see the cheekbone is, oh, how did I do this? Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I do some things in PureRef, but yeah. Now let's make this wider. Okay, if you're confused about anything, if you're not sure about what I'm doing wrong, yeah, what can I adjust to make it look better, just look at the reference. Your reference is the answer sheet. That is why sculpting with a reference is very important. There's no point sculpting if you don't have a reference. You don't want to imagine things you don't know. It just has a very harmful effect. Okay, the skull is really flat over here. It's not like this. You can see that there is a slope over here. So let's just move this behind. Let's just introduce this slope over here. Now it's looking much better. Okay, and we have a really flat over here, area over here. We don't really want this. It's going to be a bit sharp. So just use a big move brush and then we're going to pull this in. We want the temple line to go up and away. Yeah. Make sure it doesn't distort the rest of the face, the rest of the shape of the skull. Okay, nice. Let's make this area flat. Let's just make this a bit linear. Okay, it's going to be linear. It's not going to be bent like this. It's going to be linear. And it's going to get wider and wider as we go behind. Let's push this in. Make sure we have widening as we're going behind. Nice. And let's look at the side view. So the side view of the mouth is not really straight. It's actually a bit protruding. It's a bit round. Let's move it out a bit. This. Very nice. Also, let's adjust the chin a bit. Nice as well. Okay, and just make sure from the bottom view you don't have this rounding. This part is going to be flat. Okay, it's going to be very boxy, very linear. Just make sure you have this. And you can see that we're starting to have a good looking skull. Nice. Now what we want to do is add a bit more geometry for this area. Let me just adjust this a bit. Okay, so let's add a bit more geometry. Now before we add geometry, there's something I want to do. Okay, so the skull has a bump over here and I actually forgot to put it over here. It has a bump, you can see over here. Okay, this bump. And the way you can make it is use a draw brush, hold control, and then make a U shape. just like this. Okay, you can see what this U shape is doing. And then you just want to smooth it. Okay, so you have this bump, which is very crucial for the male skulls. And also what you want to do is make this thingy. So what is this thingy? It's just a line. Just take a draw sharp brush and divide this, just like this. Then smooth. Nice. Now let's add more geometry for the mouth area. Let's just dig this in a bit more. This too. Let's dig this in. Okay, and our skull is looking really nice. Okay, so for the mouth area, what you want to do is just carve in a line. Now, where is this line? This line is actually in middle of the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. So if you touch yourself over here, okay, so this is where, pardon me, this is where the bottom of the lip is, okay? So the bottom of the lip is located between the nose, the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the chin. Right here is the bottom of the lip. And if you touch yourself at the bottom of the lip, you're going to feel like you're in the middle of your lower teeth. You're going to feel yourself touching right over here. Okay. So the actual center is a bit above. Okay. You're touching here. The actual center is a bit above. So the middle area is around here. This is the bottom of the lip. This is the center of your lower teeth. And this is where the actual center is. You want to push this in, carve this in with the draw sharp brush. And as you carve, just move up a bit. It's almost like a smile. Okay, just move up with it. Yeah, just like this. Nice. You can also make this line over here. Just use a draw brush. Let's just make this line. It's not necessary, but yeah, you can make it if you want. You can use the move brush to just move it out a bit. Okay. This is not really important, but yeah, if you want, you can add this. I wouldn't really bother about it too much. Let's also dig this in a bit more. So what we can do now is adjust the cheekbone a bit. I don't really like how the cheekbone's looking. It's a bit thicker than this. So just use a move brush and then move this like this. I'm looking at the reference and trying to match it. I'm not trying to match it 100%, but yeah. I'm using it as a reference, as an inspiration. The skull has too many variations. As long as you're in the ballpark of something like this, you're good to go. And an important thing to notice on the side view, what you see over here is the furthest point of the cheekbone, and that is this point. Okay, so you have to pull this out a bit. Okay, and everything after here, it falls a bit behind. Okay, it goes in. Let's look at the side view again. Let's try to match this angle. It's going to be a bit more forward. Let's also adjust this a bit. Also, we have this sort of a hole over here. You can make that. Just use the draw sharp brush. There you have it. Okay, so you can actually stop over here. This is the most knowledge that you need to understand what's going on with the face. But if you want to make more improvements, let me show you. If you want to make the teeth, right now this gap is too much. You can use the inflate brush and just close in this gap. Okay. Once you close in this gap, just use the remesh, Control R, and then with the draw sharp brush, you can start making in the teeth. Now, I'm not very ever concerned about how many teeth does a skull have. You can just roughly make the teeth. The reason that you're learning this is so that you can incorporate this knowledge in your face sculpts, and then you can improve the structure of the face sculpts. So your face sculpt has nothing to do with how many teeth the skull has. It has nothing to do with the pores of the skull. It has nothing to do with the cracks on the skull. Everything you do beyond this point is literally just for your own benefit. It's just to make your skull look good, nothing else. It has zero impact on your face sculpts. Nice. Okay, so this is something that I like to do if I make the teeth. I just use a draw sharp brush and then I hold control and then pull this out. Okay, it gives the teeth a bit of an angle which looks interesting. Okay, so you can see that we have a skull now. Now let's compare some things. So yeah, this is a bit more wider. This is a bit more on the inside. When this is coming down as a line. Now let's turn on the shadows and see what we have. Okay, so let's make some final adjustments to this, and I think that we can really pull this part out. Okay. Also, this part we can push this in a bit like this. And here you go. We have a good looking skull. Now, if you learn how to make the skull, this is really going to help you with your face sculpts because you know what's inside. So yeah, you can make what's on the outside much easily. Also, let me just roughly show you. So once you have all of these features, you can add more features to this if you want. But yeah, you don't really need to do this. To be honest, I don't really focus on these things a lot. I just focus on what gets me result. So you can add all of these features that a skull has, like these bone details. Okay, you can add these bony details. There's a triangle shape over here, like this. There are some cracks over here. They go something like this. I think we also have some holes. I don't think I know. We have some holes here. We have some holes here. These are actually for the nerve endings, which is pretty cool because we have holes over here that has nerve endings. These nerve endings connect to the skin. It's very interesting. Because you can see that we can add more details, we can complicate this as much as we want, but none of these details are really going to help you, are really going to benefit you unless you have a good underlying structure. Let's turn on the shadow. Okay, so this is how you make a generic skull. So now you've seen this video with me. I want you to practice now because literally, if you do not get a hands-on experience on this, If you do not practice this, there's no point watching this video. Your learning and your progression in art is literally going to be 20% learning and 80% doing. So you have to do more than you learn. Consuming content, consuming information, getting knowledge is worthless if you're not applying it. Now, there's a really popular saying that says that knowledge is power, and I don't really agree with it. I believe that applied knowledge is true power. So you can have all the knowledge in the world, you can watch all the courses, all the tutorials, but if you're not applying, you're not growing. There's no point. Now, this was just a quick explanation of the features of the skull and how you can sculpt one. If you want a complete step-by-step guide and the proper exercises and the practices, then you can consider purchasing my course. It will really help you. I have got a lot of good feedback from beginner artists who bought the course and tried it. So it is really going to help you. I'm going to be uploading a lot more tutorials after this video. So subscribe so that you can stay in tune with me. And also, I do upload a lot of self-improvement videos that nourish your mindset and teaches you about discipline and the proper ways to practice, why you're procrastinating, why you're not productive, why you don't feel motivated. I cover a lot of those things as well. So yeah, do explore the channel. There is a lot that you can benefit from. So yeah, take care, goodbye, and have a great day. Goodbye.